Oh my goodness, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Scent Vibes. My name is Josh. We're gonna go ahead and get into another video. We're gonna be talking about a new fragrance company, and I hope you guys will stick by and enjoy this video. All right, let's go ahead and roll my intro. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back, subs. Welcome new viewers. If you're interested in this house called Sphinx Fragrances, we're gonna go ahead and get into talking about that. And if you guys are interested, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is a fragrance channel and we talk about everything fragrances. So guys, we're gonna be talking about Sphinx Fragrances today. And guys, I've tried to film this video a couple of times. This video is just taking so long to put together. I don't know. I'll get into that later. But Sphinx Fragrances is a company that came out in 2022. They came out in the latter part of 2022, and they are owned by a man named Mohammed Hafez. Now, Mohammed is actually, he's been doing some things. He's had some stuff up his sleeve catered towards men for the past couple of years, more so for beard products. And he has a beard website called sphinxbeard.com. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, if you're interested in taking care of your beard, you can check that website out. Now, he has separate websites because I believe he's just trying to focus on fragrances for at the moment. So he's already released about 9 different fragrances, I believe. So he has fragrances that are divided up into different categories. Now, his categories are centered around Egyptian culture, and his focus for his company was to focus around Egyptian style fragrances. Egyptian style fragrances kind of have a focus around the notes of kind of like incense and those resinous type of notes. And so that's what his goal was or is for his company. So right now he has the old kingdom of fragrances, he has middle kingdom, and the new kingdom. What he will come out with next, I do not know, but middle kingdom is newest release of fragrances. Now I actually got a sample of that here, one of the fragrances, and I messaged Mohammed. I heard about his company because his brother actually has a company, Hani Hafez, and his fragrance company is called Alexandria Fragrances. Now guys, Alexandria Fragrances, they kind of focus on dupes, inspiration type fragrances, but they do make original creations from time to time. Inspiration fragrances are for people that just don't want to shell out all that money for those expensive fragrances, so they make it a little bit more affordable. And the bottle I showed you is kind of like their older bottles. They do have blue bottles that have black caps on them, but anyway, that's not what we're focused on today. We're talking about Sphinx Fragrances. So let's go ahead and get back into it. So I messaged Mohammed. I was like, yo, you have some different fragrances, and I heard about your company based on email I got from Alexandria Fragrances. And so he was like, yo, I'm gonna send you some samples. So I got 3 samples from them, but more so these came in travel atomizers. Now these are my worst enemy, not because I don't like travel atomizers, but this is the reason why it took me so long to put out this video. Guys, I've never dealt with travel atomizers before. I've had samples, I've had decants, but I never had a travel atomizer, and I didn't really know how travel atomizers work. Basically, travel atomizer is just a simple breakdown really quick. You twist the cap, you get the bottle right here. You get the spray atomizers right here, but you can actually take it out, and I did not know that. You can see that there, if you guys can catch that. It has their logo on it. They didn't have what fragrance were on each travel atomizer. So I was very confused. I was trying to run through the video and it just took me so long. So I was like, I scrapped the first impressions. I did a first impressions. And then I assumed all these fragrances were based on the Middle Kingdom because the sample I got was from the Middle Kingdom. And I was like, okay, let me focus around that. And then I finally contacted him. I was just like, yo, I need to know what these fragrances are that you sent me. And he told me that the names of the logos are actually on the bottles. Boy, if you don't get... So first off, let's go ahead and get into talking about Tabac Citron Vanille. And let's go ahead and talk about some of the notes. So Tabac Citron Vanille has top notes of orange blossom, mandarin orange, bergamot, and Amalfi lemon. It has middle notes of cinnamon, heliotrope, jasmine, cardamom, and lily of the valley. In the base notes, you have vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, patchouli, honey, tobacco, and vetiver. Now, those notes sound amazing, and I was really interested in trying this out. Now, let me just show you how the atomizer works on this. It's pretty solid atomizer. It's nothing, it's not weak, but it's not like the best either. It's good enough. This fragrance here, you think it might open up really tart, really like something that you might say maybe a cleaner product, but it actually opens up with a blast of freshness, but it's not a tart freshness. It's not a freshness that's just like you don't want to deal with. It has like a nice roundness to it. So that freshness is followed with notes of like the floral notes, the cinnamon, and vanilla. So it opens up surprisingly smooth. It's very enjoyable to me. I believe the base notes are probably helping out with that a lot, trying to help out round out the fragrance. It has a lot of like slightly darker notes within the base notes, but they're very it doesn't darken up the fragrance. So after like about 5 minutes of those initial opening notes, the initial top notes, it starts to round out, start to pick up on a little bit of the base notes. So you start to pick up on the patchouli, honey, and the sandalwood and the tobacco. That honey really starts to come through for real for me, and the tobacco and the patchouli as well. So once it all starts to come together, once you get into the dry down, you're left with a fresh, slightly sweet, slightly floral tobacco scent that has like elements of patchouli in it. It's very enjoyable. I feel like this is very wearable, that would fit multiple different people, I believe, different lifestyles. Right now, guys, Florida heat is blazing. Like, it's in the upper 80s. I mean, it's not the hottest it can get out here, but for the month of March, like, listen, like, I wasn't expecting it to be that hot already, but it destroys this fragrance. It destroys a lot of the fragrances that I got from them. So a lot of these fragrances don't necessarily perform well in the heat. However, in temperature controlled environments, probably temperature moderate environments while you're outdoors, I believe these fragrances will do well. So I feel like this fragrance will do well in the springtime environments when you're like in that 70s, upper 70s, upper 80s, mid 80s to upper 80s. It does not work at all. Like, it just, like, the fragrance just gets wiped out on my skin. But when you are in those temperature controlled environments, I get close to about 8 hours of longevity and around about 2 hours, about close to 2 hours of projection. And during that projection, I get a pretty good sillage out of it. I believe this fragrance here is geared towards men, but I believe women can wear this as well. All right, so next up, let's talk about Sphinx Signature. So Sphinx Signature is a fragrance that is centered around notes of cinnamon, mandarin orange, lavender, and lemon. They say, put in parentheses, sour lime. In the middle notes, you have fruity notes, incense, Japanese red cedar, cumin. And in the base notes, you have tobacco, vanilla, leather, cedar, benzoin, isoe super, cypress, and patchouli. Now, that's quite a bit of notes. There's quite a few notes there. But I'm going to go ahead and give myself a fresh spray of that. Just a little quick reminder of what I'm getting with that fragrance. Sphinx Signature to me has like more masculine vibe than the other fragrances do. This one I feel like is more so geared towards men. The other ones are kind of like a unisex type of vibe. So this fragrance here kind of opens up zingy, woody, and spicy. Kind of has that, you know, Egyptian style note profile that I was kind of mentioning earlier. This one has a note that I'm not necessarily too familiar with, or I've seen in many fragrances, and that is the Japanese red cedar. Eventually you start to pick up on that incense, the cinnamon note, the cumin is featured as well. You start to pick up on that a little bit, and they play well with the citrus notes on the top of the fragrance. The fragrance is kind of bold, but the fragrance itself is not necessarily in your face. It's kind of soft, if you will. It's not, you know, it's not something that's going to like offend anybody. At least I don't feel like it's offensive. So once it dries down, it mellows out even a little bit more with the base notes, and that's from the vanilla and the tobacco. So you kind of pick up on the cypress a little bit and the leather, but those aren't really in the forefront of the base notes. I feel like that vanilla and the tobacco is definitely kind of edging those out. So about 1 to 2 hours into the fragrance, once it starts to dry down, you're kind of left with a vanilla, tobacco-y, spicy type of fragrance. So like I said, this one has like a masculine scent profile to me. It's not necessarily like anything I've really smelled in the past. I think it could work as a signature scent. Great for the office wear, maybe even evenings out. I think it could work for evenings out as well. Like I said, this scent is not in your face, so the projection is kind of subtle projection that I probably get out of this one. It's probably maybe like about a foot off away from me, maybe 2 feet of projection. So you will get noticed within close proximity within the first about 1.5 hours to 2 hours max. Next up, we have Black Anubis. So let's go ahead and talk about the notes. So Black Anubis opens with saffron, artemisia, grapefruit, Bulgarian rose, and nutmeg. And in the base notes, you have oud wood, cedar, tonka bean, amber, and leather. Now this fragrance has a very, very nice feel to it. It has a blast of freshness from that grapefruit, but that saffron kind of interacts with the grapefruit. So you kind of think it might be a little bit of tartness from that. And it's not. It has like almost like a juicy grapefruit type feel, like a red grapefruit, not like one of those like, yellow type grapefruits. This one has like a juicy, sweet grapefruit opening. Actually, I think I'm wearing it here. Yeah. So when you get that opening, it has like, it's very, very, very enjoyable. It almost has like a Baccarat Rouge vibe to it, but it's not. I think you pick up on the saffron, you kind of feel like it's leaning in that direction, but it's not the same fragrance. You can tell there's a little bit of the floral notes kind of coming through, but it's nothing that's like I feel like it's not doing too much. I feel like, again, most of these scents are unisex, so I don't think this is pushing it towards the feminine route. I think it's more so in the unisex category. One thing I do like about this scent is I pick up on the note of nutmeg, and a lot of times, often fragrances mention there's nutmeg in the fragrance, and I can't really pick it out. I can't sniff it out. And I like to cook, and occasionally, with cooking, I'll bake, and I like to make like sweet potato pie or like some apple pie or certain things like that, and I'll add nutmeg into it, and so I'm pretty familiar with that spice. And oftentimes I cannot sniff it out, but this one I can. There's some sweetness in this one here. I believe it's kind of coming through from that tonka bean and the amber, but then it starts to round out a little bit. Some of the base notes starts to show up, and that's the leather, the oud, and the cedar. But none of those fragrances kind of like overdo the opening. I feel like the opening kind of lasts up until the dry down for the most part. The dry down just kind of like the base notes from the dry down kind of just add like a nice like little depth to the fragrance to kind of calm down some of the sweetness that is there in the opening. And I find this fragrance to be very, very well blended. The performance is respectable on my skin. It's not like a beast mode performer. Again, like I said, none of these perform well in the heat. But this one right here is more of like around 6 to 7 hours with the performance concerning the longevity. As far as the projection is concerned, I'm about around like the two, maybe 2.5 hour range with this one. And then again, the sillage just carries through. People can smell it. My wife could smell it off of me, and it's very, very good. I find this scent kind of seductive, man. This is like a good scent for like date nights for me. This is one of those showstopper scents. I feel like when you're walking by somebody's gonna probably ask what you're wearing if you spray enough of it on. So if somebody can pick it up off of you, I believe they're gonna ask what you're wearing and probably throw you a compliment. All right, guys. So lastly, I have a sample here of the Wood of Gods. Let's go ahead and talk about the notes of this one. So this one opens up with top notes of almond and saffron. You have middle notes of mint, violet, lily of the valley, and rose. And in the base notes, you have oud wood, cyprol, patchouli, and musk. So this one right here has a nice woody opening. Of course, it says Wood of God, so you expect it to have like a woody feel to the fragrance, and it does. There's a bit of freshness up top, I believe, off of me, and I believe it's coming from the floral notes. That rose and violet is definitely there, definitely present. And the almond and the saffron is doing something really nice. I believe a lot of people like the almond saffron type vibe, and I'm one of them. It has a very nice roundness to the fragrance. It adds a very nice element. I really do enjoy this one. Actually, I feel like I want to give myself another spray of this. Yeah, so you get that freshness, and like I said, the freshness is coming from those floral notes from me. There's an herbal character to this one also. You kind of pick up on that mint for sure, and the patchouli and mint kind of like coincide to do something nice. And I find, like, again, there's oud in this one. None of the ouds that are in any of these fragrances are stanky. None of them are animalic. The oud in all of these fragrances just add like a nice backbone to it, and they just kind of add like a roundness that's needed within the fragrances. I feel like a lot of the fragrances that I've been sampling in recent times or buying I haven't been getting any stanky oudy type fragrances. They're just kind of catering towards more so the masses. I feel trying to introduce people to the note of oud. I think so. Like the dry down, like I said, there's a freshness to this fragrance, but I believe there's some herbal nature that's coming through with the patchouli and the mint. The musk starts to come through with the dry down as well, and you're just kind of left with this kind of like woody, slightly herbal type of fragrance, and it's different. It's definitely different. I find it to be very enjoyable. I think the performance is pretty good on this one as well. I essentially get around about 6 hours of longevity on it, 1.5 hours of moderate projection. And during that projection, there's a pretty good scent trail that's left as well. Now, this is one of those fragrances, Wood of Gods. This is one of those fragrances that reacts well to the heat. None of these fragrances I felt like kind of did the same for me personally. But when I thought there were moments where I was like, dang, the fragrance is gone already. And when I moved around, kind of interacted with different things, doing stuff around the house and whatnot, the fragrance actually woke up again. And I'm not sure if it's just because I wasn't moving or wasn't doing anything, but I think it was reacting to my heat, my body warming up again. I find this scent to be a signature worthy type of scent as well. You could probably even wear this during date nights. I feel like this can be worn during like formal events. I believe people will definitely enjoy this scent around you. But guys, let's talk about my favorite out of the bunch. I think my favorite, I have two favorites, and those were the two that I actually stood out to me when I was looking at it on the website. So my first favorite is Black Anubis, and my second favorite fragrance is Tabac Citron Vanille. Those two fragrances just have like nice elements. It kind of covers a lot of bases. Those two are my favorite scents. Guys, I do recommend you guys go ahead and sample it. So usually the 2.5 ml sample costs around $13, and the 10 ml travel spray, you can get that for around $30. So I appreciate you guys for stopping by. I really apologize that it's taken me so long to put out this video in particular, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped introduce you to a new company, and I hope you guys check them out. All right, guys, signing off here. Remember to love your neighbor. Guys, you keep smelling great. Keep doing your thing out there. Deuces.